Hey everybody, welcome to the 2 a.m. Word. My name is Tia. If this is your first time here, hello. And if you have come before, hey. So this word is basically a word of using discernment. And the title of the video, which you can see, is Quit Before You Get Fired. And I'm not just talking about your job. And I don't want anybody saying, hey girl, like you said, quit my job and now I need some money because I quit my job. You told me quit my job. I'm not telling you to quit your job unless God is telling you to quit your job, or if God is pushing you to do so. And the older that I get, I realize that discernment is extremely important. In my earlier years, I didn't really ask God. I didn't really like say, God, like, what should I do about this? I would use my own, not even my discernment. I would just do what I wanted to do, and I would suffer the consequences from that, right? But everyone has something inside of them, and it's almost it's like an inkling, like a feeling, and that feeling is the Holy Spirit telling you what you probably should do. And remember that God gives us choice, okay? Like, he gives us choice. God is a gentleman. He's not gonna like force you into anything. And he'll save you, and he'll give us grace for certain things. But when we go out and we do what we want, instead of tapping into that discernment, that feeling inside that tells us to do something else, and we go the opposite way, then we deal with that decision. And I wrote down some notes, so if you see me looking off to the side, that's why, because I can go off on a tangent, okay? And I'll bring it back full circle pretty much, but I really just want to get straight to what I want to say. And when I say use your discernment, and quit before you get fired, think ahead, okay? A lot of us just deal with whatever comes at that moment, whereas we could have planned, right? And sometimes in certain situations you can't plan. Things just happen and you really just didn't see it coming. But for the most part, little things happen up to that point. And you can say, well, I didn't see it coming. But then when you really take the time to sit back and think, you're like, oh, that's why such and such happened. That's why he said what he said. That's why they was acting funny. And then you're like, you put two and two and two and two and two together, and then you realize that your discernment was tapping in all of that time to say you need to make some moves. So I'll give an example. I'll give an example, a current example. For those who do not know, I am a traveling medical worker. I work in a sterile processing department, and I'll speak on that whole thing in another video. I've been doing this for quite some time, but I am a traveler. So as a traveler, you have to understand that things will happen at the drop of a dime at any given time, and you cannot be surprised. And I don't understand why some travelers like just get so upset if they don't get renewed, if their contracts are, well, now I can see if your contract get canceled out of nowhere, like, I mean, you will be surprised, especially if you've done a good job. But even in that, as a traveler, sometimes that will happen. So anyway, I'm coming up on, on the end of my third contract at this facility, and I didn't really have any issues with getting my contract renewed. And I really like it here. I love the people here. I love the calmness of my shifts. Shout out to all the third shifters that work overnight while everybody is sleeping, right? So anyway, I had a feeling that I needed to go elsewhere. Even though I like the place, even though everything is chill, I felt like things were changing in the manager sector. Like, things were changing. I'm sure, they wanted to start to save some money and hire permanent people. And before anybody approached me, I decided with my recruiter to look elsewhere. And plus, I actually wanted to be closer to my home. So I did find another contract closer to my home. Thank God. I'm so happy. But before I could even tell the manager here that, I found another contract and I won't be renewing my contract here, I won't be extending, he called me in his office and said, well, I love having you here. You've been a great asset here, but we won't be renewing your contract. And I'm sitting there like, okay, well, thank you for the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But in my mind, I'm like, thank God I went ahead. I planned ahead because I felt something inside. I felt that it was time for me to go. And I was so happy that, I went and just did the work. I planned ahead. I don't like doing things last minute, and I really just don't like surprises. I'm a survivalist. I just like to plan. And that goes without saying. I don't really like spontaneity, but child, things be happening, so when it happens, I just do what I need to do. But anyway, tangent. When he said that, I was like, okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. And come to find out, he kind of already knew that I wasn't re-signing my contract, but it didn't matter because he already was looking to hire permanent staff anyway. Like, the person that is taking over my position has already started. Okay, so things were already in motion on their end, but God was working on my end to say, hey, you need to look elsewhere. You want to come closer to home? You need to start looking. You need to start asking. You need to start doing what you need to do. And I'm just saying, y'all, like, quit before you get fired. And this wasn't a quit. This wasn't a firing, but this is just one example that happened to do with my job. But also, if you are in a relationship and you feel like things are kind of weird, things are not on the up and up, first of all, of course, if you love that person, if you care for that person, if you've been in a relationship for a lengthy amount of time, you need to have a conversation, right? You need to have a conversation. But if things aren't changing, if a partner is acting like really weird, funny, or whatever, and this is if you're not married yet, because I'm not for divorce. Like, I'm not saying bow out because your wife is acting funny or your husband is acting funny or whatever. I mean, you need to have a conversation and figure out what's going on. But I'm saying, like, if you had, boyfriend, girlfriend, and things are feeling strange, that's your discernment saying, hey, you need to investigate. You need to figure this out. And even if it doesn't progress to the relationship stage yet, and you're dating and things just kind of feel weird, the person is not reaching out like they used to, or you guys aren't communicating, if it's not like super serious, then you need to just quit while you're ahead before you get fired. And You know, I've been fired before. And it doesn't feel nice, but at the same time, I felt the inklings of me getting fired, but I held on because I was like, oh well, you know, things may change, blah blah blah. But I didn't ask God. I went off on my own understanding of maybe I can help change this person's mind, and it didn't happen, you know. And sometimes you have to do the firing. You know, you have to, if you feel like something is not right, then you gonna have to, like, you know, send that pink slip and let that person go on about their business. But on this end of quitting, I just wanted to also like put it out there to not feel guilty for quitting. uh, because you're bowing out, it doesn't make you weak, okay? If anything, it kind of will build your faith. And I got another example. I mean, most of these examples are about my job, but I mean, I've been in uh, I've been in interesting situations where it's like, okay, let me just bow out of this and just leave quietly. Sometimes you just gotta leave because people know what they do, people know what they're doing, and you don't have to explain anything. And if they come back wanting to, you know, hear what you have to say about the situation, then by all means speak your piece. But a lot of times you don't have to explain yourself. Just go about your business. So 3 years ago, I quit my job. And I'll talk about that in another. I have a lot of things to talk about in other videos, but I quit my job, and I saw so many things changing around me at that facility, and I was not happy. I was not happy, and I felt like, I didn't feel like I was going to get fired, but I quit before it even got to that point, right? I saw people getting fired around me, people that were really pretty much great workers, and they were just getting fired out of nowhere. Now, they could have used their discernment and tapped into the Holy Spirit to say, hey, now, like, what should I do? But they held on, probably thinking things would change, and they thought wrong, and they lost their jobs. So before it got to that point of me saying something that I would regret, or weird things start happening at the job that would cause me to get fired, I just was like, you know what, I'm out of here. And sometimes you have to quit for your own mental health, and that's with relationships. That's with anything, friendships. Sometimes you have friends that, you know, you had good times in your teenage years, but when you're in your 20s, dynamics of your relationship changed, and you start feeling like a little bit of animosity or tension or something weird going on. Quit before you get fired. Just, you know, and not all things have to be you just leaving or cutting them off. Some people do deserve an explanation, but again, you have to figure out whether they deserve that or not. You have to figure that out. Now, if somebody has been cheating on you left and right, and they just total double dogs, then that doesn't, you don't need no explanation for that. Like, quit immediately. Quit immediately. Just go, okay? And you know, with that being said, in the dating world, sometimes we know that we're not supposed to mess with a certain person, but we do it anyway. Our discernment is screaming out to not mess with that girl, to not mess with that guy. Yeah, she cute. Yeah, she this. Yeah, he's fine. But you're totally ignoring all of the red flags. You're totally just bypassing all of the toxicity, and you're going forth anyway. And at the end, you're brokenhearted, you're bitter, you're mad, and you should have just listened to your discernment. You knew You knew that this guy was doing nefarious things that was not up to your standards, but you were so desperate. Nobody likes that word, and I actually had to come to terms with myself that dang, like there was times where I was desperate. There was times where I was desperate, shouting. I was, ugh, why? You know, we have to hold ourselves accountable for things. And like I said in my other videos, I'm not going to tell you something that I didn't do myself. It was times where I'm like, man, like, you know, he fine or whatever, but the guy was doing things that I already knew I didn't agree with. But I figured down the line he would see how awesome I am and he would want to change. And that was not the case. And I got fired. I got fired. But and there was times where I kept holding on. The person wouldn't fire me. I had to quit. I had to quit because I'm like, this is not going anywhere if I keep holding on. Like, the person is not acting like they like me anyway. Like, they keep breadcrumbing me. And that's a term that I learned a long time ago. And it happened to me, but then it happened to me again years later. And I forgot about the term, and then I started looking at videos about that, and I'm like, dang, like how did I let that happen? But it was because I didn't listen to my discernment. I did not listen. The guy was a womanizer, and I just tried to just make it happen. I just tried to make it happen, you know, look my best, be my best, do my best. Sometimes your best is just not good enough for the wrong person. Your best will be good enough for the right person that's supposed to be in your life, and your best will be good enough for the thing that is best for you, the job that's best for you, that whatever is meant for you, it will be at ease. And I'm not saying that it won't come with, you know, bumps in the road. Not everything is going to be smooth all the time. Some people look for like the smallest thing and say, I'm out. Who did that before? Me. Okay, like I would be looking like, oh no, he got such and such, like I can't do this, or this job, like they told me such and such 1 minute and then they doing the next, I'm out. But we have to also listen to whether to make a move or not, because sometimes God will allow you to stay in a situation because it's not your time to move. Now, if I would have went with another contract too early, I would have ended up in a place where I wasn't supposed to be, or in a situation where I wasn't supposed to be. And God was like, I didn't tell you to do that. I didn't tell you to move. You're going off on your own on this. I did not tell you to do that. We really have to ask God, like what's up, God? Like, what do I do? And he will start to give you things. You gotta listen. Some of us don't listen. As my girl Patsy would say, you don't listen, you know? And we have to really stop making excuses for stuff that we know is not right, that we know is not, how do I want to say it? We know it's not for our good. We know it. We know that this person is not right for us. We know. Why are we keep allowing ourselves to go through months and months that turn into years and years of stuff? And then we're mad. We saying we don't think love is for us. We don't think that we're going to be successful. Nothing is working. God doesn't love me. And that's totally not true. The more that I mature, I'm telling you, like, certain things that happen in life, it's not God's doing, and sometimes it's not even the devil. We give I've heard people say we give the devil too much credit. And That is true. Like, some of the stuff that happens is because you did it. You chose to do that. You chose to mess with that guy that you knew would be flirting a little bit too hard with everybody. You should have cut it at the door. You knew that girl had an OnlyFans. She had an OnlyFans. But she was so fine, her booty was so big, her hair was so long, or whatever. You just had to have her. And now look, you mad at all the girls making all these toxic videos. Like, come on. Make the right decision for your life. If you feeling like something is not right, and some of the things that we do, we have to quit before our body quits on us, before our body just straight up fires us, you know. And I'm speaking on my behalf. I've been eating down, shawty. Like, I've been eating cakes and all types of nice pastries, and I've been doing intermittent fasting. And ask what has happened in the last few weeks. I don't know, but I'm gonna jump back on it. But I have to quit those things before my body shuts down and says, you know what, girl, I don't know what you're doing, but you're fired. Out of here. Go and be with the Lord. I don't want to have a heart attack. I don't want to have a stroke. I don't want to have diabetes. I want to have a healthy life, you know, so I can live and make these videos to help somebody, even if it's one person, even if it's helping me. I really think that a lot of content creators, when we make these videos, we do it not just to help someone else, but it really is therapy for yourself, because you're getting out what you've had pent up inside for so long. And some people probably should do therapy first, because you can tell when they are still in healing moments, healing phases. And that's okay if you make videos about certain things and you're still healing, but sometimes it may be a little bit destructive, because people on the other side of the screen can tell that you're still, you know, not overcome what you're trying to overcome. So anyway, didn't want to make this too long, and I wanted to say exactly what was on my mind. Quit before you get fired. Quit that relationship before it ruins you. Start putting in applications. I'm not telling y'all to quit your job before you have a backup. And some people, they do quit without a backup. When I quit my job 3 years ago, I had a backup. I already had my interview. I already had my job lined up. Sometimes you have to go to save your life. Sometimes you have to quit to save your sanity. I get that. But for the most part, you have to do what you need to do. Set yourself up for success. That sounds so cliche, but really do that. Some people don't think, and they just do whatever, like on a whim, and that's not really responsible. That's don't do that. If you feel like your job for the last few weeks to months has been total chaos, totally toxic, you're getting in trouble, you're getting written up for things that don't even make sense, or you're getting in trouble for things that you've never gotten in trouble with before, you know, they're starting to find things on you that just don't make sense, like you've been working at this place for umpteen years and things are starting to happen, you need to go. When you have your off days, I know you want to lay down because you're tired from all the stuff that's been happening all week. This is actually, I feel like this is more so to like employment and jobs and stuff, but I'm speaking to somebody because you're like, you've been at this place for so long and you've been disrespected. You've always been the fall guy. Your manager's always calling on you to help put out the fires, but you're not getting paid for it. You doing supervisory work as a regular tech, as a regular worker, and you knew you should have quit 2 years ago. but you was too scared to do it. Fall back on your faith instead of falling back on fear. That's good. Fall back on faith instead of falling on fear, okay? I probably didn't make that up. Somebody from another dimension, not another dimension, but from, another generation probably said the same thing. Somebody last year probably said the same thing, but if you heard it here first, you heard it here first. Just ask God what you need to do, and if he's giving you these things and it don't feel right, like your job is starting to act up, that relationship starting to act up, that man is starting to act up, that woman is starting to act up, things is just not shaking like they used to shake, you need to make your moves out of there before you get fired. And sometimes you may stay longer than you need to, and you'll get uprooted, and it won't feel good. I mean, it will be for your good, but it won't feel good. Before you even let it get to that stage 5, start making your moves before it even hits stage 1. If management sucks, if your relationship is sucking, and if your relationship is not going the way it's supposed to go, you need to be out, okay? Put in some application, shawty, before you get fired. Quit that place, quit that scene, quit that thing. If it's not working for you, just go. Make your steps to get out of there. Don't be surprised by a pink slip. Don't be surprised by you finding out somebody's cheating. Don't be surprised when you find out that somebody was talking behind your back for all these years, since 5th grade. They've been hanging on to you and they ain't ever like you. And you knew it. You know that person done talked about everybody under the sun. You think they talking about you too? You be around all these negative people and these negative things. Quit it. Quit it. This is a new era of going into directions that work for you, not just hanging on just to hang on, not to hang on because you're desperate, not to hang on because you're going to be lonely, not to hang on because you don't want to be by yourself, not to hang on because you don't want to lose your pension, because you don't want to lose your retirement. Who cares about that stuff? If you quit and you lose whatever they say they're going to give you when you're 65, you don't even know if you want to make it to 65. But if you do make it to 65, you might even have your own business making millions. But you won't know that if you stay in this one place just holding on. Just holding on. You won't even know if you will meet the love of your life tomorrow. If you keep hanging on to this dead end garbage because you're so scared of losing this person that's not even so great. I'm telling you, I have quit before I got fired, and sometimes I didn't quit fast enough and I was fired. It doesn't feel very nice, and that's how I learned my lesson. So my advice to you, if this video is for you, if you're tired, if you feeling like, dang, like I don't know what to do, you know what to do. You know what to do. You been knew what to do. Pack your little bag, like Viola Davis or Wallace. Is it Viola Wallace or Viola Davis? I think it's Davis. But pack your little bag like her meme and pick up your stuff and go. Okay? Quit before you get fired. Alright. So if you like this little message and it was, is it resonating, or is it, you know what, it's 2 a.m. probably 2:30 by now, and sometimes words don't come to me. But if it was planted in your heart, or if you have a story about you having to quit something before you got fired, if you got out of there comment below, because I read a lot of comments on other videos because I want to see what other people go through. And a lot of times you'll be surprised that other people go through the same things that you have gone through, and it's like, dang, like I'm not alone. Comments really do help. I read comments and I reply too, so just tell your story. I want to hear your story. I love opinions, I love stories. I love to hear what you got to say. So I love you guys, and thank you for joining me on this video, and I'll see you next time. Quit before you get fired, but plan too if you can. If you can't, you got to get out, then go and do what you need to do, but take God with you everywhere you go. Psalms 32:8 says, and the Lord said, I will guide you along the best pathways for your life. I will advise you and watch over you. And he is watching, and he will give you the advice. He will give you the directions. He will give you what you need. We just have to listen, and we have to have our eyes open. We have to have our ears open, and we have to be willing to listen. And sometimes it may not be what you want to hear. It may not be what you want to do, but it could be something that will save your life. Okay? So I'll see y'all later. All right? Bye.